Hi, this is Tarian, and welcome to another edition of The Agent. This week's episode is titled The Prodigal Models of Fashion. In the wild, wild 80s and 90s, when fashion was in full bloom and creativity was at its heights and excess was out the roof, models danced on tables, traveled on Concorde, champagne flowed freely. The parties went on and on all night and all day. Models demanded higher rates and got it. Clients booked trips to exotic locations for their shoots. Disco, sex, drugs, and excesses reigned without any thought of the consequences to come, all within those periods. But then the music stopped. Top creatives that once ruled at the top were no longer around. They all started dying. Crack, cocaine, and AIDS. Like wildfire, they blew everything to an halt. I think of a few models I represented or knew who died along the way, both male and female. Models who got hooked on crack cocaine were selling their bodies to get high. Some would even show up for bookings because they were so strung out or locked in a crack den. What do you do when one of your models go missing for days on end and you don't know where he or she's at? You go roaming, especially on the Lower East Side of New York, knocking on crack doors, looking for a model or two. It was my job, it was my concern. Worse, if a model was booked for a campaign or top magazine, you wouldn't know if they'd turn up. Agents knew who those models were, the regular party ones. I had a young model, not even 20, with a baby, who had made millions but lost it all through bad boyfriends who got her hooked on crack cocaine. Then I think of James, one of the most beautiful male models one had ever seen. He had been a successful model, but by the time I got the chance to represent him, he was already diagnosed with AIDS, a death sentence at that time. No client would touch him. One could see the change in the color of his skin, as well as the weight loss. Taking time to speak with him was always a gift to me. Sadly, he died less than 2 years later. Or even Clyde, a model with a great heart and beautiful spirit to be around. But when his mom heard he had AIDS, she refused to let him in her home. Sadly, he too died alone, no mom by his side. A sad tale of great creatives gone too soon. Christ, the greatest agent ever lived, tells an amazing story of a young male model who couldn't wait for his father's inheritance. Basically, he couldn't wait for his dad to kick the bucket. He demanded that his father gives him his inheritance so he could go out and party. So his father did. The young man set out for a foreign land, Paris, Milan, or London, who knows, to have a good time, great trips, great parties with friends who enjoyed his wealth. But as life has it, nothing lasts forever except God. The music stopped and his money dried up and his friends deserted him. Sadly, he ended up not in a crack house on the Lower East Side of New York, but in a hog's pen, eating the same food as the pigs do. But after a while he came to his senses and said to himself, "My father's servants eat and live much better than this. I'll go back to my father, ask for forgiveness, and ask him for a job as a servant." But as he drew close to his father's home, his father saw him afar off and ran to meet him, hugged him, and kissed him. He called his servants and told them to put the finest robe on him, kill the best calf, and start a feast of celebration. A different picture from what we saw from Clyde's mom, but such an amazing one of how Christ our Father sees us, with loving eyes and open arms, because even in our mess, he's still looking and waiting for us. In Matthew 22, he teaches us about the greatest commandments, to love the Lord our God with all our hearts, mind, and soul. Then he said, the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's only by the grace of God that we are not on the street on drugs, selling our bodies, etc. Remember, those we look down on today could be us tomorrow. Do not forget how blessed we are to have a loving Father in Christ Jesus. Until next time, have a blessed weekend. Shabbat Shalom. God bless you. Bye-bye.